In the beginning, plants and food were naturally grown. Farmers planted crops, grew them, harvested, and planted again. Now, we use so many pesticides, there's barely any food left. But let's start with Roundup. Roundup's a weed killer that some of you may have heard of. Some food companies use Roundup as a pesticide on crops to keep away bugs and pests from destroying the leaves. But some companies have taken it too far. Monsanto is one of the major food providers for the USA. The problem is, with all the crops they're growing, they need a way to fend off bugs. So they spray the fields and crops with Roundup. But Roundup takes a lot of time to spray. So what do? All the major food corporations start to chemically engineer Roundup into the DNA of the plants. The problem with that is that when certain weeds are exposed to the weed killer for a long period of time, they start to become resistant. These are known as superweeds. There are now at least 75 different types of superweeds, and there are also superbugs which resist pesticides as well. Once the crops are sprayed with pesticides, the superbugs survive and continue to kill the plants. When the farmers notice, they spray more pesticides. The superbugs continue to survive and thrive, while the plants wither away from the mix of bugs and pesticides. Monsanto, however, doesn't want the pesticides to kill their crops. They alter the DNA and insert Roundup-resistant genes into the plant's DNA. That way, the farmers don't need to use as many pesticides, and the plant is now labeled as one. Labeling our food as a pesticide. That doesn't seem right, because it isn't. The food that we eat is literally a pesticide. It's insane. Take Monsanto's BT corn, for example. Monsanto's own crew designed an experiment to test the GMO's safety. They did a 3-month study on rats that were fed BT corn. They never released the raw data, but instead just told the public that the rats were perfectly normal and the GMOs are safe. The problem with that is that since Monsanto did a study on their own product and nobody else saw the raw data, they could be lying just to get more business. Enter Seralini. Seralini did another study on the same type of rats and the same type of Monsanto's corn. This time, however, Seralini did his study for 5 months. Apparently, GMOs in rats take about a quarter of the rat's lifetime to take effect, which is more than 2 months. After 3 months, the rats had suffered from numerous malevolent tumors. Seralini did this study multiple times. GMOs are obviously not safe for the public. On numerous cases, Monsanto has proved its power and strength. 13 different states have tried to pass a law that requires GMOs to be labeled on the box. Monsanto threatened to sue the states if they passed it. The states could not afford to be sued. So they didn't pass the law. Then, food companies got together and thought that if people knew the dangers of GMOs, the food corporations would lose business. So they created the DARK Act, the Deny Americans the Right to Know Act. This law preempted states from requiring the labeling of GMO foods, continued the current broken voluntary labeling system by permitting companies to use 1-800 numbers, URLs, QR codes, and even social media to provide consumers with GMO information. It also allowed the USDA to determine what GMO information is provided through the voluntary labeling system. And it also permitted the USDA to require the use of 1-800 numbers, URLs, QR codes, or other off-pack disclosure 5 years after enactment. The DARK Act also made it harder for companies like Campbell's Soup to voluntarily disclose the presence of GMOs. GMOs have this theory around them that they help feed the world. Well, it's not true. We could feed the world without GMOs or pesticides. They're unnecessary. And without them, we could probably live longer. What GMOs do is they suck the nutrients out of the soil so that they grow faster, stronger, and more. But over time, the soil loses all of the key components that the plants need to survive. That means that at first, GMOs do feed the world. But over the years, GMOs just leave us hungry. If we don't fix this problem, the world is just going to keep declining. If we don't stop using too many pesticides, we'll kill good bugs, like bees and butterflies. Killing the bees is already a problem, but with these pesticides, it'll just make it worse. Without bees, less flowers will be pollinated. With less flowers, that'll mean less food. With less food, world hunger will rise tremendously. With so many people starving, it'll be hard to live. If we don't stop these pesticides, they will contribute to our species slowly dying away. This is why I'm trying to educate people about what GMOs are and how they can be harmful. Not everyone knows how dangerous these alterations in pesticides can be. Even not knowing what's in our food, most Americans would want to know about the alterations. So join the fight and just label it.